Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School. I wanted to tell you about something that's been heavy on my mind. As you know, I'm not just into complaining about problems. I'm actually into solving the problems. I've been a finance professor for a long time, for about 25 years, and I've taught at Syracuse University, University of Kentucky, a lot of other schools along the way. And I've learned a lot about money and how money works. But one of the things that I believe that we're lacking is we don't have a lot of scholars who are focused solely and specifically on the Black community. And that's one of the reasons why I really have a lot of admiration for people like Dr. Claude Anderson, because all Dr. Claude Anderson cares about is African Americans. Anytime there's a serious problem, like, for example, you're trying to cure cancer, you have cancer doctors who focus not just on cancer itself, but on a specific type of cancer, a specific situation in the cancer treatment, right? Or if you're trying to solve a problem that involves war, you might have a person that specializes in special types of defense tactics and mechanisms so that you can study how to win a war, right? Or how to cure a disease or how to solve a social problem. Well, Black people, the reason that we don't get our problems solved is because we suffer from what some might call, in politics, they call this benign neglect. And the neglect is that we don't have people sitting around just literally obsessing over how to solve problems in our community. And also those who kind of have solutions don't really, maybe they don't have the skill or ability to implement the solutions or the training. Maybe they don't have the resources, or maybe they just can't focus because they're spending all their time solving problems for the person they work for, right? So even though, so people who are not Black aren't spending much time or energy solving Black problems, and people who are Black are distracted from solving Black problems because honestly, you know, they're off solving white problems. They're working for other companies. So I actually have dedicated my life to solving Black problems. You know, that's pretty much what I do with 99% of my day. And, you know, and I have the training, you know, the PhD allows me, it gives me the ability not to just read a textbook, but to write a textbook, you know, not the ability to understand a theory, but I can shape a theory. So one of the things I put together was what I called the BEEP. That's the word BEEP with 3 E's instead of 2. And it stands for Black Economic and Educational Excellence Package, which is something that I argue that if we put this together for our children and implement this model, it can help us specifically solve that debt problem. So what I'm going to do is tell you the problems, the 6 key problems that we're going to solve. And I'm actually going to do this in a lecture that's going to happen on Monday night. But if it's after Monday and you're watching the video, it's okay. The model still applies. You could probably still get a copy if you haven't watched it yet live. But basically at drboyceseminars.com, which is where you can register and everything else, I'm going to address these 6 problems, and I have a solution that I know will work. One is the cost of college has gotten too high. People can't afford it. 2, there are long-term debt issues. Half of all Black college graduates, these are the elite, these are the ones who are doing the best, are actually can't pay their student loans, so many of them are going to die in debt. Let's not even talk about the people who didn't finish college, right? Which is the majority. But even those who are in the elite, even the talented 10th are getting hammered. It's like imagine a basketball game where you've got your best player and you're thinking he's going to save the day and he breaks his leg or he can't even score 2 points, right? So ultimately, even our very best, our most elite, most educated Black people are actually being hit with credit and debt problems, and they're dying in debt. So that's a big part of the reason why Black wealth is actually going down, why the wealth gap is actually growing. Also, the third problem I'm going to address in the lecture has to do with the limited skill set that you have when you graduate from college. When a lot of people leave college and they basically have this thing called a college degree, and they need an economy. A degree has no value if you can't activate it in an economy. It typically has no value. Not every degree, but most degrees have no value if you can't activate it by finding an employer who will pay you to do whatever it is you were trained to do. Well, the problem is all the employers are in the white community. So you're simultaneously trying to fight against racism and fight against white supremacy and oppression, but yet begging the oppressors to provide you with something that you need in order for you to feel whole. A man or a woman cannot go fight for Black liberation and be woke and progressive if you can't even pay your bills. If you can't even pay the rent, your energy is going to be focused on paying the rent. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the limited professional options that tend to come with college graduates, where they don't really have a lot of maneuverability when they get out there. They just sort of feel like, okay, if I can't get a job paying me to do this specific thing, I'm kind of stuck. We're going to address that. Also, we're going to address the fact that they have no platform. Again, because you have to go into this other economy in order for you to get the ability to do whatever it is you're trying to do. two, you're kind of like a person who has a driver's license and driving skill, but you don't own a car. We're going to talk the BEEP model actually allows you to give your child a car and a driver's license, right? And the ability to drive that car, right? As opposed to, you know, just getting on a bus that's going in one direction and doesn't give them any options at all. The last problem, number 6, is is basically when you go out into the world and you have one stream of income, you're maximizing economic risk. You're putting yourself in an extremely vulnerable position. Now picture this, just visualize this. This is what's happening with our most educated black people. Some of you may be watching this right now, and I'm hoping that you will consider something like this for your family so that your family can have the ability to break out of this trap. So you have all this education, but your one income stream, if you're lucky enough to get one, comes from a company that you do not own, from people who don't really like you that much, and you also are, and you have to go to that job because you're so deep in debt that you don't really have an option outside of that, because you transferred $250,000 of your wealth over to the same people who should be paying you reparations in order for you to have this certificate that will allow you to go get a job serving someone else, solving other people's problems, right? So it's holistic, it's complete in terms of helping you achieve what I believe to be the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is happiness. I want you to be happy. I want your kids to be happy. I want your grandkids to be happy. And I just, you know, finish off by asking you this basic question. George Fraser brought this up. George Fraser, the networking guru who runs FraserNet and everything, he came in the other day. He said something that was really, I loved it. I loved what he said. He said, how many of you can name your great-great-great-grandfather or your great-great-great-grandmother? Most black people can't name their great-great-great-grandfather or their great-great-great-grandmother, right? But imagine if that great-great-great-grandmother had left you, you know, enough money where you don't have to work, where you have plenty of property and land and businesses and skill and everything else that you need in order to be free, and you're living off yourself. Well, if that person had left you that much, you'd have a big old picture of them right there on the wall. You would, you know, light a candle every year to commemorate their contribution to the family, right? So the key, you know, to living forever is to have a legacy. That's the point, right? A legacy through, you know, life insurance and good economic decision making and putting together financial plans. And so financial planning, financial thinking, financial energy, financial intelligence must be the number one mandate of black people all throughout the world. That has to be the number one thing that we do. That has to be the most important. If we solve that problem, we solve damn near everything else. So think about how many problems in your life go away when you ain't got to worry about money, when you got enough money to do whatever it is you need to do at that moment. That's what I want for black people. So we're going to lecture on this in a special lecture. You can go to drboyceseminars.com. It's not free, but there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. But then also, you know, it's high level stuff. Like, this is not stuff that's taught in any university. And Syracuse, where I used to teach, they charge $60,000 a year for students to go there and learn from people like me. And so not only are you learning from me, but you're also learning something that is not in a textbook. It's not something I ever taught at Syracuse, because it took me 40 years to figure this out and to lay out this model. So that's what I'm going to do. If you go to Dr. Boyce Seminars, you can check it out. And if you can't make the seminar, we also have a lot of books and lectures and flashcards and workbooks and everything else. If you go to blackfinancialintelligence.com, that's blackfinancialintelligence.com. If you believe in black financial intelligence, blackfinancialintelligence.com gives you a whole plethora of all kinds of options, the ultimate library for a bunch of low-cost things that won't cost you much more than a dinner at Applebee's, but will give you so much more, right? So my goal is to see black people not just be consumers. I want to see us become producers and leaders and winners and everything else. So that's it. That's my little spiel on what we're about to do this week. And you may be watching this video later. That's fine. If you're watching it later, still go to blackfinancialintelligence.com or blackmoney101.com. There's a lot of different websites out there that we have that will help you get the education you need. You must turn your house into a university. Black people can't go outside their communities to be educated. We must be educated at home, because that's the only place we're going to learn the skills that we need in order to succeed within our community, in my opinion. So that's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm out of here, guys. Take care. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.